Howdy, Immortalium here, and today I'm reviewing Rurouni Kenshin. Now, before I start discussing this movie, I best explain my experience with the franchise, which is basically none. I've not seen the anime, I have not read any of the manga. I've been meaning to read the manga. I really want to get in those Vizbigs because I hear that's the best way to read the manga, but every time that I go to do an order, it seems that several of them are out of print or unavailable, and I really want to get all of them in one go, so that's always put me off. So basically this is my introduction to the Rurouni Kenshin franchise. So, what is the plot? Basically, the movie opens up in a battle fought between the Shogunate's forces and the Imperial Court's forces. Basically, the Imperial Court is trying to retake the power that the Emperor had many centuries ago, whereas the Shogunate is trying to retain the power that they had for many centuries. The Emperor's forces win, and Japan is again made an empire. Kenshin participates in this battle. At this time, though, his name is Batosai, and Batosai is a killer, well, a warrior, I guess you could say, more probably mercenary, and he's been hired to fight in this battle, but after the battle, he abandons his sword, covered in blood, and takes on a more peaceful path. Now, at the same time, a man survives the battle and actually gets Kenshin's sword that he left in the battlefield. Now, cut forward 10 years later, Japan has become a lot more westernized. You know, the Japanese military forces wear the Western uniforms. A lot of Western mannerisms have been adopted. The samurai have basically become non-existent, and those that remain are, you know, mere shells of what they once were. And we are introduced again to this wanderer called Kenshin. In fact, actually, that's something that I thought was quite interesting. Rurouni, apparently in Japanese, means wanderer. So basically, his name, Rurouni Kenshin, is basically the wanderer called Kenshin, which I think is pretty cool. Anyway, he comes back to this town. He has a new sword, but the sword's a bit different. Basically, the flat of it is at the front, and the sharp end is at the back. So he can't kill people, basically. He can hurt them, drive them back, but he can't kill them, which represents his oath not to kill anymore. Now, at the same time, there is a killer now, Batosai, a false Batosai, we should say, because we know that this isn't the Batosai that's killing everyone, basically he's been killing people, he's been leaving notes of execution, and Kenshin has to figure out, you know, who is this Batosai, what's happening. At the same time, he must protect a beautiful girl who's taking care of her father's dojo. And that is the plot in a nutshell. So, what did I think of this movie? It's very enjoyable, I will say that. It's an action movie, and the action pieces are shot beautifully. They make great use of many techniques, such as slow-mo, fast shots, quick shots, lingering shots, tight shots, wide shots, etc., etc. And I think every single action scene in this movie is spectacularly well done. This is how you make an action film. In that regards to that, the characters themselves, I believe first of all that all the performances are excellent. They all suit the characters down to the ground, whether it be the kind of realistic performances of, like for example Kenshin and the man who became Batosai, or the over-the-top goofy performances of, you know, the street fighter that Kenshin encounters, or the mob boss, one could say, of the town. All the performances are excellent in this film, so I was very pleased with that. However, that brings up an issue I had with this film. That was, even though I've never read the manga, it feels a bit like it's been a bit truncated. Now, what I mean by that is, for example, let's take the Street Fighter guy I mentioned. So, I know that this Street Fighter is a very important character in the manga, but in this movie we aren't really given that much of him. We see him for the first time, we know he's very strong, He's kind of button heads with Kenshin. And then after a while, all of a sudden, he starts helping Kenshin, you know, fight against these bad guys, which kind of surprised me, but I was kind of wondering to myself, why the hell are you helping Kenshin now? And also, like, a lot of the villains aren't that well developed. For example, we don't know who this guy is, you know, who took Kenshin's sword. He seems to be quite well known with Kenshin, but we don't know who he is. We never find out from this film. And of course, the main villain of this film, the mob boss I just mentioned, is a bit of a caricature. He's over the top, which is great for his character, but he's quite goofy and he's a bit weird. So he's not that intimidating. He's not, I don't know, he's not that great a villain. So it does feel a bit truncated in that regard, even though I've never read the manga. But the action scenes are still superb. The running time is what makes this film a bit iffy, because this film is over 2 hours. It's like about 2 hours 20 minutes or something like that. And I was thinking to myself, okay, basically you could have either shortened it and made it all about the action, which would have worked really well, or you could have made it longer and, you know, given more, you know, character development, kind of reduce the truncatedness of this film. That would have worked better as well. So they kind of took the worst area to kind of cut off the film, just to, I think it could have either done with more development or maybe tighter action scenes, I don't know. But it's still a great film. I really enjoyed it. The characters are very strong from what I've seen. It's very stylishly shot. The action scenes are, you know, invigorating and feel awesome. And I definitely want to check out more of the manga now. Also, I'm very much looking forward to getting the... I should say. I'm very much looking forward to seeing the sequels to this. There's going to be two films, two sequels, released this year, actually, in Japan. It'll be a while, I'd say, before it'll come out in the West, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they do with it. Hopefully it'll be a bit more developed than what I saw in this film. Now, what I have is the UK release of it, the Steelbook release. What do you get with this? You get a very pretty looking steelbook, which is simply Kenshin on the front in monochrome with his iconic scar in red. You also get an ultraviolet with the Blu-ray, and you get a trailer, and that's it. So it's fairly bare bones, but the Blu-ray itself is very nice. It looks great, it sounds great. So it's a very good release, except for the fact that there's hardly any extras, just the trailer and the ultraviolet. So, but it's good. It has pretty packaging as well. So overall, I would highly recommend that you get this film, particularly if you're a fan of Rurouni Kenshin, or if you've never encountered Rurouni Kenshin before, I would highly recommend it. I do think it could have been improved, but this film has whetted my appetite for trying out the rest of the Rurouni Kenshin franchise. And, you know, I'm looking forward to the sequels and to eventually getting the manga and reading it, because I'm sure the manga better develops those plot points that I've found a bit kind of lacking in this film. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and bye-bye.